Welcome to all the devotees in today's session of the Secrets of Bhagavad-Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text number 31. Let us begin. Swadharmamapi chaveksha navikampitumar dharmad dharmyadhi yuddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation: considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Purport: out of the four orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. So here, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about Varnashram roles, and particularly Kshatriya order or administrative order that is made for uh, managing the social affairs or social management. So Arjuna belongs to the Kshatriya order. So out of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, these four varnas, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and he is supposed to uh, set a good example for administration, and uh, as it is expected that in every dharma we follow, there are some challenges. So similarly, in Kshatriya dharma too, there are challenges, and the general principle is that we have to uh, carry out our duties, no matter uh, how many challenges we face. So that is Kshatriya dharma. Kshat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. So we can clearly see from this example that how Kshatriya from the very beginning of their life have been trained into punishing his enemies. So to learn the art of punishing, a Kshatriya is supposed to learn how to be violent. So everything we do in our life needs some training. Uh, Following that logic, even to be violent also needs some training. It may be surprising how to be violent we also need a training, but that is true, because here we are not just talking about any violence, we are talking about violence to protect dharma. So this violence cannot be done in an in an uncontrolled way. So Kshatriyas are supposed to execute violence in control. So to learn this controlled violence, uh, Kshatriya is supposed to go for hunting. So we know that it has been a tradition that royal members of the family would go for hunting, and they would challenge wild animals. So, and they have to fight with them. It's not that simply just taking some guns and shooting from a distance. So that is not the case. So here, to be violent and to be really be able to punish enemies, a Kshatriya is supposed to fight with uh, wild animals like tigers, lions. So that is also a need. Srila Prabhupada elsewhere explains that just to perform some surgery, a doctor uh, is supposed to uh, work on some dead body. So in hospitals, this training is given so that those are going to be surgeons. They would know how to operate. So it is simply unavoidable. So without operating on the on dead bodies or even live bodies, uh, one cannot become a surgeon. So to punish enemies, a kshatriya is supposed to learn violence, and this training of hunting is necessary to learn this particular violence. Otherwise, uh, kshatriya cannot execute his duty. It's not that kshatriyas are not compassionate, but their duty is like that, and they have to learn violence, even if they don't want it. So that obviously every human being who has been trained into Gurukula would not like to kill anyone for no reason. So uh, that is something natural in Vedic society. We believe in cooperation among all living beings. Even uh, we believe in universal coexistence. So uh, unnecessarily harming anyone is not encouraged in Vedic society. But there are certain duties which must be executed to protect dharma. So in every dharma there are challenges. For example, in Sri dharma, uh, sometimes they may, they may get some favorable situations at home. Sometimes they may not get such favorable situations. But in all situations, they have to execute their own Sri dharma. Uh, Husband may be favorable, sometimes husband may not be favorable, husband's relatives may be favorable, husband's relatives may not be favorable, children will be favorable, children will not be favorable. There are so many such challenges are there. But just because things are not favorable, a woman cannot give up her dharma. And in the same way, Kshatriya, just because there are challenges in following his duty, he cannot give up his own dharma. So that is the underlying understanding behind following any dharma. So Arjuna has been trained into violence, and he knows how to punish his enemies. But just because of his uh, attachment to his relatives, his grandfather Bhishma and his teacher Drona, he is taking, uh, he is using knowledge to cover up his attachment, and that's why he is presenting so many arguments just to not fight. But that is not correct because a Kshatriya uh, is well aware that he will have to kill his enemies, including his own relatives. If his own relatives also come in the form of enemies, he cannot escape from his duty. So that is the situation here. Proverb explains the process of hunting here. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. So that was the system. This system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. So it is not a matter of liking or disliking. It is something called duty. You have to execute it. For example, Grahastha, they have to earn a livelihood. Can they say, no, I don't want to go? I like family. I love my wife. I love my kids, but I don't want to do a job. Can you say that like that? No, you cannot. It is a dharma. It's not a matter of liking or disliking. It is dharma. It is duty given by God. So, uh, as a grahastha, he has to maintain his family. So he cannot say no to his duty. So there are challenges everywhere. Similarly, brahmacharis. Brahmacharis, they are supposed to uh, not have anything with them. They should be empty-handed. Actually, they are not even supposed to worry about what they will eat uh, in the morning or in the evening. They are supposed to be free from any sense of proprietorship. They are not supposed to collect anything for their future safety. Now, this may be challenging. Uh, so many people they offer us so many things, but no, brahmachari dharma means he cannot collect. He is not supposed to think about his future. So you should have firm faith that God will uh, protect him in all situations, even if grahasthas uh, maintain brahmacharis or not. That is a different thing because a brahmachari or a sannyasi is supposed to be completely dependent on the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. So he has a firm faith that even if there is no one in this world to help him, Lord Shri Krishna would help. Actually, it is Lord Shri Krishna who protects us. So that should be the understanding of a sannyasi or a brahmachari. So given this scenario, even in brahmachari ashram, in brahmachari dharma, there are challenges. Not everyone can live up to these standards. So, uh, so similarly, kshatriyas also, it's not just a matter of liking or disliking. You may not like it. Arjuna is a great Vaishnava, so naturally he would not like to harm anyone. A Vaishnava is not will not like to hurt even an ant. What to speak of killing wild animals? He would not discriminate that ants cannot be killed, but tiger can be killed. No, but here this Kshatriya dharma demands a particular action. It is something unavoidable. For example, like as I mentioned, Prabhupada's example that surgeons they had to learn operations on dead body or even on living beings, live body. Unless they operate on bodies, material bodies, they cannot learn it. And naturally, if when we operate on dead body or live bodies, we'll have to face all this bad order and all kinds of nasty things we have to see. But it is a duty. We can't just avoid it. So every dharma contains some challenges. So we have to just take it as the order from Lord Shri Krishna, and with that spirit of obedience to obedience to God or obedience to Lord Shri Krishna. We have to execute our duties. Okay. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Sometimes that does not mean that all the time Kshatriya should be very enthusiastic to fight with others. So, as I mentioned last time, war is the last option. War is not the first option. So, in Raj Dharma or a Rajniti, we are supposed to handle the matters with Sama, Dana, Bhed, and then comes Danda. So, first we have to apply Sama. Sama means uh, negotiations or by convincing the other party. Dan means giving gifts. Bheda means to create different groups in the other party or getting people from other party to our side. That is called Bheda. And finally, Danda means to punish the enemies by declaring war. So war is not the first choice. In the uh, greatest wars of Ramayana and Mahabharata, we see there was uh, an effort to avoid that war. Lord Rama personally sends Angada as a messenger to convince Ravana that we don't want fight. Just give Sita back. We will return from Lanka. And even in Mahabharata, we see Lord Shri Krishna personally becomes a messenger and tries to convince Duryodhana to give only 5 villages. So clearly see that war is not the first option. Okay, next. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. It's a very important point. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. So, why is it so? Why can't they accept the order of sannyas? Because once we accept the order of sannyas or vanaprastha, here accepting the order of renunciation means uh, accepting vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means living like a muni or any ascetic. So uh, Kshatriyas are not supposed to take the order of sannyas. Sannyas, I mean, they cannot become a preachers like Brahmana would accept sannyas and they would travel around the globe and preach Krishna consciousness. So that is not the case with Kshatriyas. So they may give uh, some good instructions to other varnas, but they would practice their own own spiritual life, and they would remain as vanaprastha. They would not become yatis. So they will be called renunciant because they have renounced their royal positions and everything. But they are not technically sannyasis. So in one sense, they are sannyasis because they are serious about spiritual life. But only Brahmana is supposed to take up the ashram of yatis or sannyas ashram. Okay, and because yatis or sannyasis they cannot execute violence. So kshatriyas, uh, if they accept even vanaprastha, then they cannot harm anyone. So uh, that is why kshatriyas are not allowed to take vanaprastha directly. That's a general statement. There are some exceptions where Kshatriyas take a vanaprastha directly. But these are something rarest of the rare incidences. We see that uh, son of uh, son of Dhruv Maharaj, he does not accept the royal throne, and he goes to forest. That is one example. Uh, in case of Maharaj Priyavrata, from Bhagavatam we hear about Maharaj Priyavrata. So he also gives up his kingdom and actually does not accept his kingdom and goes to the forest directly. But then, on the order of Lord Brahma, he accepts the position of a king. So, so there are exceptions. And one more example I can remember: sons of Madalsa. So Madalsa was married to a Kshatriya king, and she got four sons, but three out of the four became renunciant, or they went to the forest. So they did not accept royal throne. And when uh, Madalsa's husband requested her that I need one son to take care of my kingdom, then Madalsa was said to be an incarnation of Mother Saraswati, uh, preached to her fourth son to become a good king, a pious king. So he became Maharaj Alarka. So that is the story. So there are some exceptions, but generally, Kshatriyas do not accept Vanaprastha directly. So because they have a important role in the society, because uh, to be violent or in a to be violent in a controlled manner, uh, it requires training. And Kshatriyas are a particular class uh, who are potential candidate for this task. So that is why they are the chosen ones, and they can execute this bitter function. It is bitter to be violent, to speak about non-violence and still to execute violence. It's a very contradicting dharmas. But what to do? It is something unavoidable. That's why Kshatra dharma is considered very, very, very harsh or very cruel, because uh, it actually goes against one's nature. Any pious person would not like to harm anyone, but still, a king has to be. A king is supposed to be uh, compassionate towards his citizens. At the same time, he has to be violent. So it's a very special task uh, given to Kshatriyas, and that's an order from Lord Shri Krishna. So Kshatriyas are supposed to just follow it. Next, non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. It's a very important point. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy. So maybe for diplomatic dealings, we may speak about non-violence or we may be non-violent. However, it is never a factor or principle. It is not a principle that Kshatriyas are supposed to be non-violent. That does not mean that they should encourage violence, as we discussed. So war is not the first choice; it is the last choice. And this statement, this particular statement, that non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor principle. That is to emphasize the need for violence in society, controlled violence or good violence. In uh, Sanskrit, it's called sadhu himsa. So this sadhu himsa is mandatory, and it is an essential role of a kshatriya. A kshatriya cannot be a kshatriya if he does not execute violence. It is not possible. It may be painful to hear or painful to, much more painful to even, execute it, but it is unavoidable. And these kind of challenges are everywhere in all dharma. If a woman starts complaining, oh, now in hot summer I cannot cook because I also get so much sweating. I cannot. I don't want to be here. That's not possible. She has to cook. And similarly, in the winter, if we complain, or Brahmana complains, no, now it is a chilled winter. I cannot go out and take bath in a river with cold water. No, sir, it is not possible. If you are a Brahmana, then you have to do it. So these things are unavoidable. Next, in the religious law books, it is stated, Ahveshu mithonyonyam जिघांसन्तो महीक्षितः युध्यमानाः परं शक्त्या स्वर्गं यान्त्यपरां मुखाः यज्ञेषु पशवो ब्रह्मन् हन्यन्ते सत्तं द्विजैः संस्कृताः किल मन्त्रैश्च तेऽपि स्वर्गम् अवाप्नुवन्. Very important verse. In the battlefield, a king or kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death. As the Brahmanas also attained the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. So, any Kshatriya who dies in battle while fighting with another Kshatriya, another opponent who is envious of him, uh, attains heavenly planets because he is performing his own dharma. So, if death appears on his own accord by following one's dharma, then one is sure to achieve higher destination. Because we are not, one is not just doing any um, adharma. So Kshatriya is supposed to show his power and is supposed to uh, protect his kingdom. So that is his dharma. So if he dies while executing his dharma, then he will get a higher destination. And similarly, brahmanas who sacrifice animals in the sacrifice, that is also a bitter thing for a brahmanas. Brahmanas may not eat meat, but as a duty, they have to uh, sacrifice animals because that's also an order from very scriptures. So even though brahmanas are engaged in such sacrificial killing, they also get higher destination because they are performing their own individual dharma. Next, therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved because religious principles or dharma are meant for benefiting whole human society, even all living beings, not just human society. So anyone who is partaking in the dharma is glorious. He or she is glorious. So um one should not think that nobody is noticing how I am following my dharma. So how can I achieve a higher destination? So that doesn't matter. There are devas, the four directions, all are watching us. So even if some ordinary human beings may not notice us, but if we are executing our dharma, then God, Paramatma, is observing us. So definitely we will get higher destination. The animal sacrifice gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another. And the Kshatriyas killed on the battlefield also attained the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas attain heavenly planets, and regarding animals, those who get sacrificed in yajnas, so they get human birth because uh, that's the reward of being sacrificed in the sacrifice. So otherwise, animals generally have to pass from many forms, many species to attain human birth. So they can skip all these things. So sometimes uh, people argue that animals are not meant for our sanctification, and uh, why are we interfering with their freedom or their independence? But actually, they forget to notice or forget to recognize that we are actually part of God's creation. So God has given us uh, these duties. So uh, it's not that when we talk about sacrifice, we are talking only about animals. We are talking about sacrifice in all our dharmas. So Lord Shri Krishna has given us different dharmas, and we have to follow our individual dharma. Kshatriyas also have to uh, go to battlefield and sacrifice their lives. It's not that they kill only animals; they hunt only animals. So they have to give up their own lives also. So when we know that the whole life, the whole Vedic society is uh, centered around sacrifice, then there is no question of injustice towards anyone. That is not injustice. That's an arrangement so that everyone can be benefited, and even the society at large can be benefited by such sacrifice. Obviously, as I mentioned previously, we Vedic society does not encourage animal cleaning unnecessarily. So that's always a discouragement to not have animals in sacrifice. However, those who cannot do without animals, who cannot remain, uh, uh, who cannot refrain from meat eating, so they are accommodated by these sacrifices. So they perform sacrifices. They are engaged in some good things, uh, sacrifices, and as a byproduct, they also uh, get some meat so that uh, they can double their bad propensity. But that is a discouragement. It's not that everyone should collect animals and sacrifice them in yajnas. So there were many kings who never performed such animal sacrifices. In the Mahabharata, there is a description where Bhishma explains that the many kings who actually never ate meat. So that is also a scenario. When we don't know about our Vedic culture, then we conclude in our own um in a uneducated way. So that is our fault. That is not the fault of Vedic culture. Okay. There are two kinds of swadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma specific duty becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. Swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the fourth chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnashram Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, or specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So, uh, the uh, arrangement of dharma has been given by God, Lord Shri Krishna, for upliftment of all individuals, all living beings. So The ultimate purpose of all sacrifice is to get liberation. Liberation means to attain the Krishna bhakti, or to have to develop attachment toward God, and to be detached from our uh, from any sensual pleasures. So, in a conditioned state, jiva or living being is attached to so many material desires, and that's what is called uh, conditioned life or non-liberated life. So the aim is to become liberated from all these material desires and to develop spiritual desires. But we to facilitate such spiritual progress, one must follow dharma. Unless we follow dharma, we cannot directly take up spiritual life wholeheartedly or 24/7. That is not possible. So it may be that for some exceptional personalities it may work, but they are very rare. We can say these are all already liberated personalities, almost liberated personalities. But that is not the case with any average human being. So that's why, uh, even to progress spiritually, one must take up dharma, because that is also an order from Lord Shri Krishna. Uh, Later in Bhagavad-Gita, we will see Lord Shri Krishna advises Arjuna to Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. So to always think of Krishna and carry out his duty as a Kshatriya to fight. Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Constantly think of me and execute your duty as a Kshatriya. Fight. So uh, that is the advice for everyone. So we have to follow our dharma and at the same time constantly think of Lord Shri Krishna. So dharma does not contradict bhakti. It never contradicts bhakti. Otherwise, there is no purpose in Lord Shri Krishna's coming to the material world to establish dharma. Yada yada hai dharmasa glanir bhavati bharata. So it would be pointless to establish dharma if dharma goes against. Okay, so we will stop here. If, the, if there is any question, we can take it, or else we can stop here. Vidaka Prabhu, any questions? No question, it seems. Okay, we'll stop here. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you all for joining the class. Hare Krishna.